Hey guys, Stay-Patient here with my third and final Fallout video of the day, and in this one we're going to be taking a look at settlements and specifically what is required to keep your inhabitants happy. So if we go to our Pip-Boy here, you can scroll across to the data tab at the top there, and under this you've got quests and workshops. Now workshops is basically a rundown of all of your settlements. Now on the right hand side you have all the stats related to that settlement, and at the bottom, if we take Sanctuary Hills as an example, my current happiness rating, which is the important one, is 82 out of 100. Now the best way of boosting this happiness rating and keeping it high is by filling all of the people's needs. So above that you have all of these different stats here, and we're just going to talk through how much you need on each of these stats to keep your inhabitants happy. So we've got 13 people living here. For each of those people you need 1 unit of food production and 1 unit of water production. Now I have 23 and 25, so that's more than 13, it's more than enough, and that's keep them nice and happy on that front. As we scroll down though, we've got power. Now power is not quite so important. Basically the amount of power that's required for your settlement simply boils down to how many electrical appliances you have there. Now each electrical item that you put out, whether it's a light or a recruitment beacon, whatever it may be, they all have a electrical requirement, you know, how much power they need to run them. So when you're in your crafting mode or your building mode, like this, if we run up to, for instance, the recruitment beacon, as it says there, you can see on the top right it says requires 1 power. Now your power rating for your entire settlement will literally be the combined power of all your generators that are being used to give electricity to those appliances. So that's not really that important. I don't think that can really have a bearing on your happiness. It's just to make sure that all of your electrical appliances are powered. But as we go down, I'm going to cover beds first, because beds is simple. It's just the same as food and water. You need 1 bed per person, nice and easy. The reason I've got 20 beds and I've got just over 20 food and water is because I've heard that the maximum capacity for any settlement is 20 people. So I've made sure to have at least 20 of each of those primary resources, just in case, you know, my settlement fills up while I'm out exploring, because it's building gradually. You get someone come and join every few hours or something. So I just want to make sure that my happiness doesn't drop because I'm, you know, low on beds or low on food or whatever. Pardon me. Now we're going to cover the defense rating now. This is the one that confused me when I first started playing the game. A lot of my settlements didn't have enough defense, and I'm going to show you. I'm just going to go to Grey Garden here, because next to Grey Garden there is an exclamation mark. I know there's also one against Sanctuary Hills, but that's for a different reason. The one next to Grey Garden, if you hover over Grey Garden, it will show you which of your stats isn't high enough. In this case it is defense, which is what I want to talk about. Now to begin with, I kind of assumed that defense was the same as food, water and beds, where you needed 1 unit of defense per person that was living there. But some of my locations only had maybe 2 or 3 people there, and they had quite a lot of defense, but it wasn't enough. You know, it still had an exclamation point indicating that there wasn't enough defense there to cover everyone. So in this example, as you can see, there are only 6 people there at Grey Garden, and there's not enough defense despite there being 25. Now this is quite simple, but it's something that's not explained in the game, so I thought I'd bring it to your guys' attention. Your defense rating needs to be equal to your food and water productions combined. So my food production at Grey Garden is 31, water is 3, combine them it makes 34, so that is how much defense you would need to keep them happy. Now the reason the food is so high in this location is because it's a farm, and the reason that it doesn't matter that there are 0 beds and there is only 3 water production is because the people there are actually robots, so they don't need food or water or beds. They can function without all of that, but because the food rating is high, because we've got 34 production of food and water, the defense isn't enough at 25. So that's how defense works, guys. I hope that makes sense, because it's something that I didn't get straight away, and I was kind of getting a bit worried that it was bugged or something, because I was putting out all these turrets and it didn't seem to be doing any good. But one thing to bear in mind that you can do if you need to is, especially if you're early on in the game, you may come to somewhere like 10 Pines Bluff, where there's no recruitment beacon, so there are no new people coming in. There's only 2 people living there, but I believe when you first get there, there's quite a high food production. So I was worried because I was thinking they're not happy, you know, and I can't afford, you know, early on in the game I couldn't afford to buy enough defense to cover all that food and water production. But what you can do is simply rip some of the food out, because as long as they've got enough to feed them, and there's only 2 of them there, as long as they've got at least 2 food production and 2 water production, that means that they'll be perfectly happy with food and water, and it means that it costs a lot less to cover them with defense. I've bought a turret and one of these sort of defense stands, I forget what they're called, one of these things here in front of me, and that is enough to cover. You've got where are we? We've got 7 defense there, and our combined food and water is 6, so that's fine. That saves you trying to spend loads of components or money or whatever on all these different turrets just to cover 2 measly people. Now the reason my sanctuary hills has got an exclamation mark, that has literally just appeared as I began starting to record this video, and as you can see, yep, there we go. As you can see, the exclamation mark is next to happiness. Now this is another thing that I wasn't too sure about when it first showed up. I thought, why is there a problem with their happiness? Why is it going down? You know, I've got all their needs met, but I believe they can only reach a certain amount of happiness without adding extra things. Now, they reached around 79 or 80, I believe it was, and then it kind of hovered around that amount. So it would go up, go down, go up, go down. So every time it reaches maximum, an exclamation point will show up, indicating that it's about to go down 1 point before it goes back up, because it can't climb any higher, basically. And the reason for that is because there are some things that you can buy that increase the happiness beyond what the basic, you know, just filling their basic needs can do. And some of those things include things like shops, which I have a couple of here. Now, maybe if I was to buy more shops, it would go up slightly higher. And I believe there are probably more things you can buy that increase your happiness that aren't related to food and water and defense and all those different things. Obviously, some of them are going to require higher levels in some of the perks, etc. But there you have it, guys. That's a basic rundown of what's required to keep your settlement pretty happy. You know, I mean, 82 is quite a high happiness, and I'm fairly early on in the game, so there are a lot more things I can add to the settlement as I buy more perks. But for now, just keeping their basic needs met. They need 1 production of food and 1 production of water per person, and the defense needs to equal at least the combined total of the food and water production put together. And that's the key one to remember, because that's the one that confused me. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful, guys, and I hope you're all loving the game. I absolutely adore it. Fallout 3 is my favorite game of all time, so I'm loving that this is living up to it. I'm going to get back to playing it now, and I think you should too. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all soon. Bye for now.